And time now is 8:44, 560 KMON on a TGI Friday morning. And joining us live on the line and in the studio here, we have gubernatorial candidate Ryan Busse on the line. And we have potential Lieutenant Governor here, Raph Graybill, in the studio this morning. Ryan, we'll start with you. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, man, thanks for having me. Just listening to the markets there, I grew up getting up every morning, listening to the wheat market and cattle market. I grew up on a cow-calf ranch and a winter wheat farm, and so that takes me back to my youth right there. That's good stuff.
Well, that's what we like to hear. You know, we've been doing it that way for 75 years here at 560, and not about to change it now. So I'm glad that it resonates with you. But again, on the line here, we've got Ryan Busse, gubernatorial candidate here in Montana. And I got to ask you, Ryan, before we get into the weeds here, are you going to do any hunting tomorrow? Are you going to make it out for hunting, or are you still stuck on the campaign trail?
Well, I tell you what, I think I'm going to get out just for a little bit of hunting in the morning. I have to say, I think it's kind of sacrilegious. I don't care what kind of campaign's going on. First off, that may be a new law we passed here. Whoever thought it was a good idea to have an election during hunting season? That is like un-Montanan and un-American. So maybe Rafe and I will work on that. But no, simple answer, I'm going to get out for a little while in the morning just because I have to. It's a deal you got to do while you're a Montanan.
No, I love it.
Hey, Ryan, why don't you tell them about who replaced me in the seat in your car?
Oh, boy.
Well, okay, so this is a funny story. My son shot an antelope last week. They were first time they've ever been 16 and 19 years old. First time they've ever been in hunting camp without me. And it was successful because the prairie didn't burn down, the truck didn't roll over, nobody died. So good. When your teenagers are hunting, that's what's good. But they did get an antelope. I didn't have time to butcher it because of this doggone campaign I'm doing that's all quartered up. It was hanging here in the fridge. So we had an extra spot in the car, in the campaign car the other night. And I said, you know what? Let's throw in that quartered antelope in the back seat and take it down to this gal in Whitehall that does, Anna Boardman's her name. She's a great butcher. So I just want you to know, everybody's listening to the only gubernatorial candidate, maybe in the history of the country, who has ever had a quartered antelope riding around on the campaign with them.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right? Kill two birds with one stone, I suppose.
That's right.
Love it. Well, again, gubernatorial candidate Ryan Busse on the line, and we've got Raph Graybill here in the studio. So kind of turning our attention here to issues, Ryan, one of the biggest issues you've been talking about is just the housing prices and how expensive everything has gotten here in Montana. If you guys could kind of talk on that and ultimately your priorities, if elected, what you'd like to see that go toward.
Well, and thank you for that. Yes, everybody's talking about it. Why Montana is now the most expensive place to live in the country. From an affordability standpoint, it's worse even than California. I don't think that's right. Of course, one of the most illustrative and important issues surrounding affordability is Greg Gianforte's tax hike, this big property tax jack-up project that they did on every Montana homeowner and renter. Didn't have to happen. They had a $2.6 billion surplus. The previous four governors, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, all avoided this because their budget folks told them the same thing they told Gianforte, which is if you just adjust the state tax rate, that people won't get this tax increase. So Governor Gianforte decided not to do that. He actually requested the increase in his budget. He asked a supermajority to pass it. They did pass it, and he signed it. That would be the first thing we would fix. We would roll that back to 2022 levels, and that includes for ag and small business too. There are recommendations to make sure that no ag owner or small business owner would pay more taxes than that. That's in our proposal. And then I think we got to use programs that are that have been passed by bipartisan majorities already, things like low-income housing credits that help put working folks into homes. And this is important for our rural communities too. Was in Havre not very long ago. They have spots for 21 police officers, can only hire 14 because they can't get folks who can afford to live in Havre. And I know the governor talks a lot about fentanyl and crime, but if you really worried about that, you would do what it takes to get police officers in our communities. Rafe and I do really care. We will work on it. We know it's important. We don't want this state to be a playground for billionaires. We care about working folks. It's important to us.
Sure. Again, on the line here this morning, gubernatorial candidate Ryan Busse. We've got Raph Graybill in the studio here. And, as you're making your rounds around the state, I mean, you guys just came off of a really long swing there. It sounded like across the High Line, eastern Montana. What's kind of the word on the street that you're hearing from folks in terms of, like you said, housing and just some of the other big issues that folks are chatting with you about on the campaign trail?
Raph, you take this. I'm hogging the mic. How do you feel about that?
Well, I got to say, housing and just general affordability is a huge issue. Like we're in Great Falls today. I'm from Great Falls.
Right.
I think about in 2008, which is not that long ago, Great Falls was identified by the Realtors Association as the most affordable housing market in America. You get a great house for $100, $120,000. 2008, not that long ago.
Right.
Now Montana, as Ryan mentioned, has surpassed California in terms of affordability. Now, some of that's bigger than politics.
Sure.
But some of it isn't. And this property tax increase, we hear about it from folks, even in rural communities, you live in town, this property tax increase is a huge driver. I mean, as Ryan said, 111% on some homes is massive. And it'd be one thing if that money went to buy a new school or pave the roads.
Right.
They had a surplus. They did not need to raise the taxes. And so that's why, what's sort of interesting about this campaign, we're running as two Democrats, but this really is not about Democrat, Republican in this race. It's about community. It's about Montana. And our first priority is make this a state where our kids can afford to live here, buy homes here, have the dignity of good jobs here.
Right.
And that's investing in kind of these basic things that Montana's always been about. So affordability is one. Quality public education for everybody, which is required by our Constitution, is two. Good access to hunting and fishing opportunities.
Right.
You can clearly see Ryan embodies that.
Right.
Whenever Ryan Busse goes dark on the campaign trail, we know where he is.
That's right.
He's chasing birds somewhere in Montana.
Hey, that's what we like to hear. I mean, I'm hoping to do the same thing tomorrow. So I feel you again. On the line, we've got gubernatorial candidate Ryan Busse. Raph Graybill is running mate here in the studio this morning. And, another topic that really hits home in terms of agriculture is climate and environment. And I know that's been another real pillar for you folks. Talk to me a little bit about your goals and priorities in that department as well.
Yeah, you bet. As I told you, I grew up on a winter wheat ranch and cow-calf, or winter wheat farm cow-calf ranch. I spent a lot of days pulling calves in the mud and in snowstorms. I don't know what it is about calves. They always show up when you got a wet snowstorm. Something about that. But so there's folks out there listening right now that know what that's all about, and there aren't too many people in the country more connected to weather, to climate, to what's really happening than ag producers, because you're in it every doggone day. And we know that there are longer droughts. We know that there are more extreme floods. And I hate to see the way that is jeopardizing ag producers and, frankly, businesses all across the state. And we can like it or not like it, but it's kind of like gravity. It's pulling down on us. And I think we have to be leaders, and Raph and I, are dedicated to this. We're leaders who understand what the reality is and want to put the Montana people, at the front of it. We've got to look forward to what is going to be and what must be, and not look back. When you're in the middle of the drought, you can stand out there and yell at it and say there's no drought. But every farmer and rancher knows when you're in the middle, when there ain't no grass and the wheat 6 inches high, you're in the middle of a drought. And so I think we just have to look reality in the face and be leaders that move forward and do it in a way that we maintain our Montana lifestyle at the same time. And that's what we want to be. I don't want drastic changes. I don't want to do irresponsible things, but neither do we want to stick our heads in the sand and pretend this isn't happening. So Montana should lead on this, and we should lead in a way that maintains, especially our agricultural folks. We feed, I don't know how many other states Montana feeds, but it's a lot. And we should be proud of that, and we should maintain that.
Well, and even countries, that's the other thing with a lot of those wheat crops. But again, gubernatorial candidate Ryan Busse on the line, running mate Raph Graybill here in the studio this morning. To kind of wrap up here this morning, guys, anything we missed out on that you want to highlight? Obviously, you have a lot of priorities, if elected, but anything else you'd like to highlight with us here this morning?
Well, we're leading into hunting season here, and I know there's a bunch of folks that are going to be laying on a hill somewhere behind a rifle, hopefully looking at a deer or an elk tomorrow. Yeah. Maybe I'll be one of those. I want you to know that for the first time in Montana's history, out-of-state landowners have been given preference on elk tags by Governor Gianforte. That's never happened before. For the first time in history, more mule deer have been harvested in Region 6 by non-residents than residents. when Governor Gianforte says this state's for sale, I think you're going to see in your hunting camps tomorrow the sort of crowding from out-of-state hunters that is making everybody rightfully upset. I hear from them all the time. I want you to know I want to manage wildlife for Montanans. It's really, really, really important to me and my kids. One of the reasons we live here and love it, and so I'm all about that. When we say we want to get our Montana back, that's just one of the things we want to do. That property taxes, remember that.
I love it. Again, gubernatorial candidate Ryan Busse on the line, Raph Graybill in the studio. Now, if folks would like more information on you guys, to get a hold of you guys, just learn about your priorities, where can they find that information?
BusseFromMontana.com. Yeah, Busse from Montana, BUSSE for Montana.com, or social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you might use. Look up Ryan Busse or Raph Graybill and follow along as we travel the rest of the state in the next 10 days.
Awesome. Well, again, Ryan Busse on the line here and Raph Graybill in the studio. We really appreciate you guys taking the time. I know you're incredibly busy, and thanks for stopping in to see us and calling in. And best of luck if you do hit the backcountry tomorrow, Ryan.
Hey, thanks so much. Get home and get that rifle cleaned up there so you don't miss that buck tomorrow.
Right, no doubt. Awesome. We appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.